Hey everyone, I wanted to go over the problem set with you, just the problem set portion, and then we'll talk more about it tomorrow, but this way you have it recorded, me talking through it. This is the Educational Longitudinal Study of 2002. It's nationally representative. They followed 10th graders through high school and beyond. Lots of available information through the link that I have here in the do file. As we move down, I'm setting my Stata version, capturing any log that might be open. There I change my working directory to where I have this file. And this is my log file. This is what I wanted you to upload so I could see your code and the results together. Here's where I load the data set. So I'm going to go ahead and load ELS. And you can see here that it's loaded the data set successfully. I have a number of variables here with their descriptions, and we'll get more into that as we get down into the problem set. So the first question was, what is a unit of analysis? So to do that, we have to kind of go into the literature a little bit, the documentation on ELS to find out that the BY stands for base year. So all these variables start with BY, that's the base year. So that's in 10th grade. So our unit of analysis is that lowest level of analysis. It's going to be 10th grade students, okay? And so I'm going to put that in 10th grade students. Okay. And you could say in the United States, across the United States, it's been sampled here. And then how many categorical continuous variables are there, not including student ID? So to get that, I might use just the describe command to give me a sense of what this data set looks like. And I can see it here. And I've got, some information here, but it's not telling me exactly what these look like. So I get a sense of the type of ways in which these data are stored, but I might want to use my code book to see more about the types of variables that I have, or I could just browse. Some of you may have just opened the browser window and looked at each variable, and that's fine too. But I'm going to use this code book. So we're ignoring student ID. The sex variable, obviously categorical. You're a 1 or a 2 in this case, male or female. In this sample, we have home language, which is represented by 5 categories. Okay, so that's also going to be a categorical variable. Generational status is represented by 3 categories, so that's going to be categorical. The SES is just giving us examples here. So it looks like a composite measure ranging from -1.52 to 1.43. So that's going to be more of our continuous variable. We have a math score and a reading score. Those are standardized. Those are going to be continuous. So now we're 3 and 3. And finally, we have hours spent on homework. Again, examples, looks like that's continuous. So 4 continuous and 3 categorical should have been what we were looking for. 4 continuous and 3 categorical. So that would have been the answer to number 16, is that combination there. For 17, we've got these different categories, and they actually span 2 different variables that we're looking at. We're looking at not only language, but also language spoken at home, or the student's generational status. So I'm going to do codebook again. Oh, this is inside parenthetical. So again, if you have that, if something's green, look for a way to close it. So I'm going to do codebook, and I know I need this home language variable and generational status variable. And I know I need that one because if here it's saying SM and mother born in the US. So I'm just going to look at these 2 variables in my code book. I could have gone back up and looked, but I'm just going to look at them here. And so I'm wondering, English is coded, the numeric coding is 1. So English right here is 1. West South Asian is coded as 4 right there. So we would have want to match that one up with 4. Spanish is coded as 2. So we're going to put 2 here. SM and mother born in US. I'm going to go down here. SM and mother born in US would be a 3. Okay. And then PAC, Pacific Asian, we'll go back here and scroll back up, and that looks like it's a 5. Okay, so there was my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that was a matching one that we did, but I used the code book to get that because that told me the numeric indicators for those. And again, those are categorical, so those numbers don't really mean anything. In Stata, you could run an average of those, but it doesn't make sense. So you need to be careful there. but we used codebook to get question 17. All right, question 18, it's asking for mean, standard deviation, and median. Okay, so because I'm asking for the median of this variable here, whoops, because I'm asking for the median of this variable, I want to use my summarize command because that'll give me mean and standard deviation, but it won't give me the median. So to get that, remember we have this detail that'll help provide us with that 50th percentile. Okay, so up here, we've got the mean of 51.92. I'm just going to notch these in so you can see them. There's the mean. The standard deviation is 10.78. And the median would be 52.4. So I think there was one of your choices. That would be the one that you would want to select there. All right, what percentage of students in the sample speak English or Spanish? Now, there might have been multiple ways to do this. I think the easiest way is just to use the tabulate command or the tab. If you want to do tab for short, that's usually what I end up doing. And we're going to look at their language, home language. So BY home language. And as I run this, notice in my output here, I've got the percent of English at 79.84 and the percent of Spanish is 7.26. So I could, if I wanted, display that and make Stata a calculator and just add these up. All right, so that's one way, 87.1. But notice over here, I'm getting cumulative percent. So I could have just looked and said, oh, English plus Spanish is 87.1. Either way, we get the same answer. So it's 87.1. All right, awesome. Okay, finally, what proportion of students scored higher than this certain value, 65.7? Okay, so remember, we want to first standardize this reading score because then we can use that Z distribution to get the percent below, proportion below, and then we'll 1 minus that to get the proportion above. So that's kind of our strategy. And then we want to look, and in this case, we'll look in the data set for that score and see what that Z value is reflected there. Okay, or we could look in a Z table as well, if you want to go that route. So first, let's standardize it. So I think eGen's the quickest way to do it. So eGen, we're just going to call this a standard reading score. All right, and that's going to be the standardized score of this reading base year variable. Okay, so I can run that line of code if I want, and I can browse and look over and see, okay, that looks about right. So that's a standardized reading score. And here's the regular. Okay, you see how that's been converted. All right. Now I want to get the proportion above. So to do that, remember, we're going to use that normal command. So gen, we'll do read below equals the normal. All right, and then this standardized variable that we've created. Oh. Okay, so if I run that and I look, I've got now the proportion below for each one of these. So for that standardized value, there's the proportion below. So if I want the proportion above, I just do 1 minus read below, oh, excuse me, read above equals 1 minus that read below variable. Okay. And that gets me my new, I'm not labeling these. We could label those if this were a data set we're going to keep working with. And then the question is, how do I just finish this off? I'm asking for 65.7. Well, one way to do it would be to just say, I want to browse the above proportion if that reading score, all right, was equal to that number. And it looks like 0.082. So that would be the answer. Now, I know there are other ways to get at that answer. That's how I did it. So tomorrow we can kind of talk through other ways that you might have gone about doing that, kind of creative solutions that you have. Of course, once we've standardized that variable, and we look for that value, we can then go into a Z table. We don't have to use Stata if you wanted to find that and calculate it. But in this case, we were looking for Stata. So that is my overview. Look forward to talking about it more tomorrow.